basketball analysis with over 70 years combined experience. This is the Bob Ryan and Jeff Goodman podcast.
NBA, some college, a little bit of everything.
You know, what can I say? But it wasn't going to happen here.
Time for Bob Ryan, Gary Tanguay, Zoom and Pod right here on CLNS. We are brought to you by PRIZEPICKS, the exclusive daily fantasy partner of CLNS Media. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy, always with PRIZEPICKS. Okay, last night, at the time we're recording this is the day after the Celtics Game 2 loss. And I was pretty pissed off last night, as Bob and Jeff Goodman could tell on the text chain. Here's my concern with the Game 2 loss, as opposed to the others. Because as we know in the NBA, it's just, it's a different world than the 80s, okay, and even the 90s. Game 2 against Miami was a 10-point loss. It was like one of those games. I thought when I was watching the Celtics game last night, it was tied at halftime, or maybe 1 point different. And I thought to myself, okay, they could lose this game. Right? The Celtics could lose Game 2, but maybe it's going to be a 5-point loss, 3-point, whatever. I didn't think it would be a big, but I mean, they just got blown out in the second half. They lost by 24 at home to a team that is, I get it. They have a star player. I wasn't frustrated by the loss. I was frustrated by the way they lost.
Of course, we were tied at the half. I never dreamed that they would. I thought we knew they could lose the game. And
yeah, I said, okay,
I thought they would win the game, but and it was terrible. They shot 8 for 35 on threes, and having said that, you say, well, if we're having a bad shooting night, maybe we better double down on defense, and that never happened.
Thank you.
So that never happened. There's a fault line all the way from the top down on this one, I think, and it was a disturbing loss. So my answer is, okay, either you're willing to give them a mulligan or you're not, and I am. I appear to be in the minority among the circle of friends I have who care about this. And okay, fine, I'll be Mr. Pollyanna. I'll give them a mulligan. What they were doing,
it's not that cut and dry, though, Bob. Here's this. I got to tell you what's going on in my mind. I don't think I was as you have pointed out from the get-go. The concerns with this team, front runners, final 2 minutes of a game, so forth and so on. Spot on.
Yeah.
I'm wondering about the toughness now, and I thought we were past that. And I know it's only one game, but you got the Knicks, who they should beat, and they will probably win this series against Cleveland. But now I'm thinking, just how tough is Tatum? I mean, he's trying to go to the basket. They're trying to play the non-3 game, and they can't do it. Like, they couldn't do it last night. And that's my frustration. If you get in the finals with Minnesota, you are ahead of the game on their star guy. Like, I'm not so sure if Denver's out, it's a foregone conclusion the Celtics win the title.
Oh, I'm not either, because I have growing respect for Minnesota. If that's the case, no. And you're right. I took note. In fact, I may have tweeted to somebody. I took note. I know I did. Excuse me. The missing layups. They're getting to the hoop and not finishing.
Right.
That was disturbing. That was you're right. There was a lot to dislike about that game. There's no question that there's no redeeming anything out of that game. No individual performance. Nobody. There's nothing redeeming out of that game. Okay, I totally grant you that. And in keeping with this discussion about the toughness and all, okay, what they were doing was historic and aberrational. They had won 5 playoff games this year by 20, 20, 14, right. 24, and 25. Okay. Nobody does that. Nobody does nobody. Okay, the 50 Lakers didn't do it. The 86 Celtics didn't do it. The Bulls didn't do it. Nobody's ever done anything like that. That wasn't going to sustain itself. That didn't make any sense. Okay, now that they have been slapped in the face, now let's see how they respond. I'll be very curious to see how they respond, and I think that's the issue here. You're right to question them, and I question them too in this regard. It has not been settled. This issue of their toughness, their inner fortitude, whatever you want to call it, has not been settled. I agree, and this is one step in the process of finding out who they are. So there's no redeeming thing out of that game.
Right. But this is why, as a Celtic fan and no longer a media member, even though I'm on CLNS Media, this is why I get so upset. they have so much talent.
Yeah.
So much talent. That's the thing that drives me crazy. Like, I'm like, okay, I could take a 10-point loss in game 2. I can take an 8-point loss. You got outplayed. It didn't, they got great players too. Like, they have so much talent that, quite frankly, if Denver doesn't, well, we don't think, if Denver's out of it, which is probably going to happen, if they don't win the championship, I just feel like it's such a waste. There's so much talent on this team, Bob. That's why.
And we agreed that the time is now, and that they do have the talent. I've been saying all year they've got the most talented 1 to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and right down to 10. They have the most talented roster in the league. I cannot believe there isn't a coach in the league who wouldn't trade the roster theirs for this roster and say, okay, now let me at them. I'll take them over. I'll take this roster.
Sure.
The deepest roster of legitimate NBA players who deserve to be in a ball game when it's 2 minutes to go, or whatever way you want to define it for yourself. They've got it. And so it would be very, very bad if they squander this opportunity. They haven't squandered it yet.
They haven't. Not
to mention, these are the playoffs. I looked it up just for the hell of it. And, in their own experience, and I'm sure there were plenty of other teams that have it, just the fact, they lost at home. Okay, fine. The 85-86 Celtics are they're one off. They never lost a game in the playoffs at home. They lost one game all year in Boston Garden, and okay, that's it. Okay, and 81, they lost game 1 to Philadelphia at home, and they won 5 and 7 on the road. That team. 84, they lost game 1 at home to the Lakers. They lost game 3 by 33 points. Remember that one? That's the 12 heart transplants game. They played like Sissy's game. They won game 4 in overtime, and they won the whole thing in 7. It just historically. You can lose at home and once in a while. If you can't win on the road, you don't deserve to be a champion.
Well, that's true. That's true.
There's open questions about this team. If they had lost by 1 point, well, no, this is more disturbing, but more rationalizing than the torture is when you lose the 1 point game. This is I
can take that. To me, and you've said it too. We've all said it. The 300 or whatever best players in the world are in the NBA. So if Cleveland wins game 2, and they were on fire, and the Celtics played their ass off, and they were playing great, and it just goes Cleveland's way. Like, I can live with that. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members. It is the easiest and most exciting way to get on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats and watch the winnings roll in. PrizePicks is so easy to play. I can make my Celtic picks and make my entry in less than 60 seconds. Quick withdrawals and easy gameplay and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what makes PrizePicks the #1 fantasy sports app. Celtics and NBA fans, you can get in on PrizePicks in 30 states across the country, including California, Texas, and Georgia. On PrizePicks this week, I'm selecting Jason Tatum to dish out more than 5 assists and his teammate Jaylen Brown to have more than 22.5 points. Download the app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. PrizePicks. Moving on from that, I just have a couple more questions on that, though. Obviously, this is the first time we've seen since he went down where Porzingis was missed great.
Yeah, because he had become Plan B. We're worried about this. And we are. I think who isn't that cares about the game? Worried about this obsession with the 3.
Right.
And they're living by it and dying by it. And they do have an alternative this year to throw the ball into a 7-3 guy who knows what he's doing. He wasn't there. And would they have utilized him? Probably not. But maybe they would have. We don't know. We all feel the same way that they should be able to get through the East without him, but they're going to need him when they get to the finals, one way or the other. Whether they're playing Minnesota or whether they're playing the Denver, I don't think it would be OKC, but it's probably Minnesota or Denver. This is still an open. Are they going to use? I've said this. I don't know if you remember, but I definitely said my #1 question, other than the generalized one about their makeup. Yeah. My #1 technical question entering the playoffs was: will Joe Mazzulla use Porzingis to his best advantage properly? and we don't know now because he's not playing. So that was my number one question.
And here's my second point, and in regard to Mazzulla, done a great job, no argument. But when stuff gets shaky and you need somebody to right the ship, we still don't know if he's that guy. I'm sure you can think of examples in the past where teams have needed an adjustment. They've needed a talking to, if you will. And, I don't know if we don't know.
We don't know
if he has that clout.
No, we don't know. No, I mean, I'm thinking of previous Celtic teams, and the '60s they had these Hall of Fame veterans, and we wound up with a player coach who's the most important player in the history. And then the next generation, you had Havlicek around, and Silas, who was the conscience of that team. He was the conscience of the 74, 76 championship teams. And then the next group, we got Bird, McHale, and Parrish, and veterans. And then the last championship, we had Mr. Alpha Dog Garnett. Not to mention Pierce had grown into greatness.
No doubt.
Pierce had grown into greatness. We had Ray Allen. We had three major adults in the room at that, with that team. You don't have to worry about that anything there.
But the point I'd also like to make, and a guy that to me he's underrated, is your friend Bill Fitch.
Yeah.
When the Celtics were young in '81 and '82, I mean, and he was a tough coach.
He relished the drill sergeant role. He identified himself in that vein, and no question. And he wore on people, and eventually, and everybody tuned him out, but one person in 33. Everybody else tuned him out eventually. But yeah, he was there for that. And then of course they went completely opposite direction in personality.
Right, the timing was right.
They went hot cold. Anyway, Joe Mazzulla is still. This is year 2.
I know.
Year 2 of a coaching, and with a guy whose previous head coaching experience was at Fairmont State. We know he's intelligent. We know he's intelligent. That's not. By the way, I applauded. He called an old-fashioned, complete routine. This is the moment. Timeout in the second quarter. I went, yes, this is exactly it. So I think the timeout thing has been rectified. But anyway, well. It certainly gave people a lot to talk about last night.
There's no doubt. I was really, the loss didn't bother me. To wrap it up, the loss didn't bother me. The second half lackluster effort did. Yeah,
you're right. And the fact that it was at home, which people are harping on, historically, you don't do what the 85, 86 Celtics do routinely. You got to win. And of course, then we have the famous 74 when there were 5 road victories out of 7 in that series.
Oh yeah, they won game 7.
Those days, we're not looking to see that. So anyway, by the way, OKC lost at home last night while this was going on.
Yeah,
and to Doncic, who has been limping around, he's got 2 bad knees apparently, and he went out and bounced back and had his 29. So both the favorites, got beat at home. All right. Fine. That's the playoffs, folks. We don't like the way ours was. Theirs was more conventional. OKC's loss. This was an annoying loss. Very much. So.
Again, it was just the way it went down. Where I
it was.
Like, come on,
you don't want to lose it to 24. No. And the fact that there was no resistance the way it should have.
Yeah, it was like no. At least because you never know. You never know. That's the thing. It's just like. If you're okay, so it's not your night, the threes aren't falling. You've been around long enough. You keep it within 10. See, you keep it within 10 with 4 minutes to go. You never know. White hits a 3. Brown goes to the hoop and gets fouled. You just never. You might steal one. That's all. Okay, moving on.
Yeah.
Fellow University of Maine Black Bear. He was there for 2 years before he went to Virginia. That's why we like to claim Rick Carlisle. I like to say he and I went to the same school. For a little bit, he lost his head, and he was fined $35,000 for that.
Did he? Are they fined?
They fined him $35,000.
Slap on the wrist. Rick, what? To me, utterly out of character for the person that I've known since 19.
Well, maybe that's why the fine was so low.
Completely out of character. He's a rational person. He's an intelligent guy. The idea that you would present to the world this with a straight face. That you have found 79, bad calls or non-calls going against you, it's just laughable. It's like, you got to be kidding. It's like a sick joke, and to present it publicly and with a straight face, and that's nonsense. And then they imply that that the small market teams don't get a break, when we just had a small market team from Texas win 5 championships. And when we have a reigning champion from a market that's not exactly overwhelming in the middle of Colorado. And come on, Rick, no, that's not. And talking about a team that's won once since has not won in 51 years. So the Knicks. So no, that was crazy. But the New York Post took care of him.
Yeah. Long live the Post, man. Long live the Post.
I like to fancy myself as a student of officials. I earlier in my career, I wrote about them a lot, and I've seen many officiating injustices in my life, and have written about many of them. And I not any point watching this series has it entered my mind that the Pacers were getting hosed.
Right
now, we talk about there's the macro and the micro. The micro, oh yeah, we scrutinize that famous illegal pick play, and okay, one play in the end, that's going to be scrutinized by definition, right? We know that's going to happen. That's okay, and you can come on either side of that. But the macro is the big story here. He's implying that there's a conspiracy, theory going on, and that's nonsense. It's utter nonsense. And I'm sorry. And yeah, in the heart of hearts, with the networks, everybody like to see New York as opposed to Indiana. Yeah, we know that. But I do not believe that they are influencing the officials in any way, or that they feel influenced in any way. And I don't see it in this series. I'm sorry. And he's harping on this play that was a non-call because Hart pushed Halliburton in the back, and everybody knows his back is bad. Like, Rick, what? That's silly. It's just silly. I'm unbecoming is the only word, and I really like Rick and admire him in a lot of ways, and just don't understand what this lapse of judgment has taken place.
I wonder if he still tapes his ankles before the game.
I don't know.
I love that. I love that. I was like, what? That was in Detroit. I think. Detroit was his first team, right? Then Dallas.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember.
Detroit.
Can't remember if we were there or whatever, but then somebody said, yeah, he tapes his ankles. He goes through taping his ankles before the game, and I went, wow, man, that is.
I wonder if he still plays the piano. Remember, he was a self-taught, non-music reading piano player.
I don't remember that.
Oh yeah, he used to go into lounges. He could play the piano. He played by ear.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's a fascinating guy.
He is. Yeah. I mean,
character.
He had a okay. Anyway, that's that story. And meanwhile, in that series, if Jalen Brunson is not playing Game 3 as well, and Anunoby's out, the Knicks can only take so much. They have done remarkably well, with the attrition factor. Robinson's out. I mean, how they can't continue to take hits like this. Which brings us to Josh Hart.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Josh Hart, ladies and gentlemen, has not missed a minute in the first 2 games. You don't see this anymore. You don't see this. So just to put it in context, though, about the the gold mark is, this gold standard is. In 1969, ladies and gentlemen, in the NBA Finals, John Havlicek and Bill Russell each played 48 minutes in all 7 games. And Havlicek,
all 7 games.
They played the entire playoffs series, period. John averaged 28 points, 11 rebounds, and 4 assists. Russell averaged 21 rebounds in the 7 games.
And then that's Russell's final year.
That was his final year. His final game, he had 6 points and 21 rebounds. Jerry West, meanwhile, I was looking him up. Of 336 total minutes, he only missed 29. So he wasn't exactly a slacker either. But this is what Josh Hart. That's the bar that Josh Hart has to surmount. There's John Havlicek and Bill Russell each playing every minute of every game in the 1979 7-game finals. 69, excuse me. Okay, now where were we?
No, that's exactly where we were going. That's. I mean, you just love to see the minutes. Playoff time. There is nothing like it. I mean, the energy, the effort amps up a good 50 to 75% compared to the regular season, and that's why you want to go to Game Time. the authorized ticket marketplace of the NBA. Now, they make getting playoff tickets even faster and easier. And here's the deal with the GameTime app. The prices of those tickets go down the closer you get to tip-off. They've got killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, and you can also get the view from your seats with the lowest price guaranteed. GameTime takes the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets. So here's what you should do. You download the GameTime app and you browse it, and you can see that you can get Celtics and Bruins playoff tickets for less than $150. And again, the closer to game time you get, the lower the ticket price is. These are terrific deals for big-time postseason games. Last-minute deals. Save up to 60% off buying last-minute sports, concert, comedy, theater tickets. All-in pricing. Toggling this feature shows that the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout and also the lowest price guarantee, or GameTime will credit you 110% of the difference. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticket industry. So, take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets at GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, use the code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code CLNS and get $20 off. Download GameTime today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. Before, I know you want to talk about the international MVP, but let's do a reset of the playoffs right now. Because we had certain thoughts coming in, right? Obviously, we thought Denver, Boston, which, I mean, Boston has the one loss. I get it. We know what's going on with Denver. How has your opinion changed about the playoffs? I'm going to give you a Ryan reset.
The biggest takeaway that I've gotten from the playoffs, and I said this early on, and it's being enhanced almost daily, is first I said how good Minnesota and OKC are, how good they really are, and what kind of a threat they pose. And now I'm going to separate those two to say how big a threat Minnesota is. That you've got to take very seriously the position they have put Denver in and the reasons why. And the number one reason, of course, is that Anthony Edwards has taken a step forward into superstardom at age 22. In his fourth year, he has emerged as a transcendent player in our time. Yes, evoking memories of a certain number who I want to,
No, as you brought up,
Chicago. Right? Okay, and the two big men can play together in a very efficient way, and they're definitely a danger. Okay. And OKC, they're good. They're very good too. And but Denver is vulnerable out there. They're vulnerable, and Murray is not 100%, and that's important, extremely important. Yeah. So that's that. That's my number one takeaway. Other than that, I don't know. In the
Here's
East,
mine. Here's mine.
Go ahead.
I think the Knicks down the road are going to be a force to be reckoned with. If you're healthy. And if you can make, I don't know what their cap situation is.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you just mentioned, I mean, everybody, with Brunson alone, they have been really causing problems. Now, obviously, I mean, if the Celtics played the Knicks and it was just Brunson, I'm still going with the Celtics. But if the Knicks are 100%, or if they do some tweaking in the offseason, the Knicks have something to build on. And I don't think I ever would have thought that the Knicks would be equivalent to maybe Milwaukee or Philadelphia, but Philadelphia can't stay healthy. And I always consider Milwaukee to be the biggest threat to the Celtics.
Yeah.
But I think if the Knicks tweak the roster in the offseason and everybody stays healthy, I think you'll be able to next season say they are a threat to the Celtics.
Just go back to January when they had a healthy Randall, and in January they had the best month they've had in 20 years, and they were a force. I agree with you. They're going to be heard from. The coaching, there's no arguments. I'm sorry,
got it.
Can't have any arguments there. The front office, there were questions about how Leon Rose was running that team, but he's made some good moves. The issue is going to be contractual with the big guys right now.
Right.
I believe Robinson and Hartenstein. So you see what that's an issue about how can they hold on to them, and wouldn't they be nice if they can keep them both? Hartenstein's an excellent backup, and more than I ever realized. No, they've got a lot going for them right now. They definitely do, and I totally agree with that. Not
Yeah,
that
they're no longer just that, oh, aren't they a fun team to watch from New York, but they're not really a threat. Well, that's kind of changing.
Yeah, no, it is, and they've got the Garden galvanized. From what I gather, the Garden is back as a place,
Sure.
as a great six man, and which is good. I think I've said continually over the years, every league benefits when New York teams are good,
Of
whether
course.
what sport it is, because they're polarizers. They rouse the nation for or against them, and that's good. So good to have the Knicks back in the mix. And I agree with you. They're next when Randall supposedly will heal, and everybody and Anunoby will heal, and Brunson will not. That's no debilitating issue. They're definitely going to be heard from. Yeah.
And that's the thing. Again, you take a look at Brunson and you take a look at Tatum, and again, not to pile on Tatum because it's really hard. It's hard being a great player in Boston without a ring. It's really hard.
I think we ought to save a whole segment about this interesting situation regarding Tatum. It is a lot to be said. You've opened the door there, and it's in my mind too to talk about the stress on this young man.
A lot
is not really fair, and he's in a certain locale where I always say about Boston, and then not just about sports, but in general, you like to be enhanced by history, but you don't want to be swallowed by history.
Oh, we're swallowed by it.
And we're in sports, we're definitely swallowed by history in Boston sports. And like right now he's a victim. And
there's no question, because like he's the next Brady, I mean, really. I mean, it was Brady left.
We can explore the
next star, which really sucks for him.
We can explore the whole Celtic history someday, and it's interesting. So yeah, but it's worthy of exploration.
Because you take a look, and this is like, you take a look at a guy like Brunson, or you take a look, Edwards in Minnesota, and they've got this will, they've got this growl. It seems, Brunson's been disrespected. He got the contract. He's overachieved. Tatum was a third pick. And that's like the thing with Tatum is sometimes he's like, if he doesn't win, the thing that's unfair with Tatum is that if he doesn't win a championship, he's going to be criticized for what he isn't,
right?
Which is an angry player. Right? I mean,
edgy. How about the word edgy?
Edgy's better. Angry's not good. But Jordan would get pissed off. Larry. I mean, these guys, so edgy. He's just going to be criticized for not being edgy, which
Jordan
is
still. I mean, Jordan took names at his Hall of Fame.
Oh, I know.
I mean, so yeah, but that was not shocking. It was in keeping.
Not at all.
That was in keeping. So yeah, you're right. No, right. Well, you're right. I agree with you, and that's definitely the case on Jason.
That's the thing. So, anyways, I can't believe I'm saying I like the Knicks, but it's good for business. The international MVP dominance. You know something, Bob? I like, because you know the game, you know where everybody's from. I don't even know if fans think about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think people are,
I don't think which is good.
The hell out of me.
It's a good thing.
Well, it intrigues the hell out of me. The idea that this run we've had with Jokic and Antetokounmpo, Embiid, who of course is now a U.S. citizen, but he's a native of Cameroon, and by the way, the runner-up this year also happened to be from the first three. George Alexander is a Canadian.
Right. Canadian. Oh yeah.
And of course Doncic is a Slovenian. So yeah, I believe so. Yeah. So yeah, no, it's fascinating. It all basically goes all the way back. This is the residual effects of the Dream Team. From 1992, the spotlight that was put on basketball for the world to see how to play the game at the highest level.
Your friend from Russia.
Well, the great Boris Stankovic from Serbia.
Sorry.
And of course, the one player who was already established at the time was Sabonis, right? Arvydas Sabonis was already established. He was before that, but all these young men, all these Dirk Nowitzkis and all the Manu Ginobilis and all these guys we have today, I think you can definitely trace how basketball has grown from the Dream Team presentation. But the fact is that It is. I just think it's a phenomenal. It's an interesting phenomenon that the MVP dominance of, and you say, who is the reigning American player right now? So really, and think about big men. For the Olympics, because I guess Embiid's going to play for us.
Right.
Francis pissed off, but if we didn't have him, who's next up? Bam Adebayo, I would say.
Right.
And
But
I like
Edwards
a nice player.
I mean, Edwards is probably your next one, right now.
Well, I'm talking about big men.
Yeah, but I know, I understand. But
Edwards. Oh, yeah. Well, Edwards is now just stepped up, of course. And
but I think the great thing about it, like, I think kids or people that are into the game, you remember the '80 Olympics and I don't think people just don't. They just look at them as players. They just I don't even kids that are watching the game. They don't even.
Yeah, well, but that's a good thing.
And that's a good thing. That's my point.
This is maybe my personal little obsession. That's fine. No, people. I
think it's a good observation, and I also think it's the type of sport. The thing about basketball, it's not expensive to play. That's, I think, the challenge with the NFL.
Get the sneakers, yeah.
I mean, sneakers and a rim. You don't even need a net. I mean, whatever. A peach basket, if you will. I think the challenge, like the NFL, they've always wanted to make the NFL an international game. It's expensive.
Oh,
expensive.
Hockey. Oh, yeah.
And hockey too. But I think, kids, it's much easier for kids in Serbia or Greece or Spain to go out and play hoop than get a set of pads and a helmet. And then you got the whole concussion thing. Yeah, I just think the game itself, the game of basketball can be played anywhere. And I think that's conducive to being an international game.
And since I opened the door in this discussion of international, where you have to acknowledge that the most intriguing one of all is Wembanyama. What is going to be the ceiling?
Yeah.
For Wembanyama? And that's going to be.
That's a really good point. I mean, and he's going to be an international rock star.
Oh, yeah. And he's been preparing for it for years, including making sure he learned English well.
Right.
He wanted to be sure he'd be proficient because he knew he was taking his talents to the US of A. He wasn't going to be lingering in Europe, baby.
No.
He was taking his talents to the US of A, and he's a very intelligent young man who wanted to be able to present himself, in the way he wants to be presented, and that includes a mastery of English. He's going to be an international total. He'll be the name in basketball in the next 10 years.
If his legs hold out.
If the body can, if the body allows him to, and that is an if.
Okay, Robert, I'm off to Lawrenceville.
Well, good for you. And, give my regards to I was going to say to the field house where I spent countless hours playing basketball, except that it's no longer there. I guess I don't know whether they raised it with a Z or what, but they got a brand new one. So I want to report if you get a chance to peruse the new one.
Oh, yeah, I'll take some videos.
I want to report.
Yes.
But I don't know exactly where the lacrosse field is in conjunction with the field house now. But anyway, good.
We just want young Tanguay to get a goal against Lawrenceville. I go, Lawrenceville's loaded. He's like, Dad, they're loaded. I go, just get a goal. Just give me something to throw at Ryan. Just get like one goal. Even if it's garbage time, get a goal.
Look, I want you to check out the Kennedy house. That was my house in Lawrenceville, the Kennedy house.
Well, I figured they'd have a dorm named after you, Bob.
No, that's for Huey Lewis.
Yeah,
67.
Get out the checkbook. Robert, talk to you again next week.
Right.
Ryan, Gary Tanguay, brought to you by PrizePicks, the exclusive daily fantasy partner of CLNS Media. Pick more, picks less. It's that easy. PrizePicks.